Welcome back to Families in Action right here on KHTS AM 1220, your hometown station. And today we're talking, it's National Hospice and Palliative Care Month, and our special guest is Ann Front from Henry Mayo Newhall Hospital, and Ann is with the Palliative Care Unit.
National what?
It's National Hospice and Palliative Care Month.
What's that? For people who just came on, they have no clue.
What are you talking about today?
Man, we're gonna give it to you for that.
Well, we call palliative care an added level of support at any stage of illness. So it's really just one doctor said it's like giving a patient a pillow. Just it's a way to provide comfort with a very difficult diagnosis that you might have that's either serious or life limiting or end of life at all different stages.
And what I was going to say is curative care is what we go through when we go to the doctor.
Right.
And they're taking care of it. They're curing it, right?
Yeah.
And then after curative care is...
more comfort focused.
Right, palliative care.
Palliative care is even part
I
of
got
curative.
it wrong.
Palliative care is from the beginning. We're completely aggressive and trying to cure everything to the end where cures might not be an option or the patient's made the choice that they don't want to pursue
so they
that.
could actually stay in palliative care instead of hospice.
Palliative care.
Palliative care instead of hospice.
Yes.
Well, I don't even. I repeated what you
And
said.
the thing with palliative care, when about 100, 200 years ago, we didn't have any of these options. Patients, you'd get sick and you die. And now with so many different types of treatments.
They actually just started saving lives, 70, 80 years ago, right?
Yeah. I think the beginning of the 1900s is when we
Exactly.
started looking at different cures. And actually, I was reading a book about cancer where they were saying that we didn't even have surgical gloves until the 1950s.
That's bizarre.
So
that's what
we're
I said.
doing surgeries.
Just 50, 60, 70
They just
years.
used to scrub really hard for a
so
long
these
time.
surgeries, the risk of infection was unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
So we've come a long way, but the problem is now we've kind of gone the opposite way where I think our culture has become kind of afraid of death or afraid of giving up. So we do everything.
Who wants to talk about death? Really?
No one.
I mean, at the end of the day, who really wants to talk about it?
Yeah,
we don't want to think about it.
You're not going to sit down at Thanksgiving dinner and say, hey, let's talk about death.
Let's talk about dying.
That's kind of one of those weird Woody Allen things, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a shift in healthcare.
And I never liked him much. So
No, I'm with you. I'm sorry I brought him up.
There's been a shift of healthcare where people are finding that we can do so much, but what expense? That if you look at your life, most people say they want to die at home, they want to be comfortable, they want to be around their families, but a huge amount of people, I think they said for 80-year-olds and up, like 75% of people die in the hospital. And is that where they want to die? So oftentimes we're afraid of talking about it. We don't want to jinx ourselves. We don't want to bring up the pink elephant in the room. But the fact is we're all going to die. And so we want to look at how do we want to die?
Thanks.
The Onion says that death rates hold steady at 100%.
Right. But I think some of the reasons why so many people die in hospitals is because they're actually in there trying to get some kind of treatment and things go, if you're at stage 4 and you're trying and you're taking lots of chemo, it can change in a heartbeat, as you know.
Now, one of the ways that everybody can prepare so easily, we were talking about just before we went on break.
There's nothing easy.
No, this is easy. I'm telling you, it's easy. Tell him it's easy.
It's easy.
And then we were talking about
it really?
The directive.
Talking. Yeah, the Advanced Healthcare Directive. And that's where, like, Thanksgiving is a great time to just sit down when all the family are around. You have an 18-year-old, you have a 90-year-old, the whole generations, and just to say, hey, let's talk about these things. May not be the most comfortable, but if
that's a great thing to talk about on Thanksgiving. No, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because you gotta let people know what you're thinking and what your needs are and what your wants are.
And it opens up a lot of conversation about, what is important to you that, I'm in my late 40s and there's things I want to do before I die. So why am I waiting when tomorrow something could happen and I don't have that opportunity anymore?
And that's the thing.
Opening up the discussion.
That's the thing that people forget. It's not always going to happen when they're older. So it could happen at any time, and it's better to be prepared.
And to have those conversations. And I see that it is a gift to your family members and your loved ones, because the other side of it is I have patients in the ICU that are at literally at the end of their life, and families are looking at me and saying, I feel like I'm playing God. I don't know what he wants. I've never talked about it. And so then you're putting a huge burden on your family to make these huge decisions, where I have other patients that say, if I get to that point, I don't want all this. It's a very comforting to families knowing I'm following their wishes rather than making that decision.
How do you do that? Because, I was just thinking, you're right. Even we all need to do this, because if something happens today, what would my family? They wouldn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
So how do you do it? What do you do?
Well, let me just say that 90% of people feel that talking to their family about healthcare decisions are important, but only 27% have done
it's
so.
One of those we just never got around to it.
Yeah. And then
I think it's more than that.
Worse with your doctors. Let's see. What is it? 80% of people feel that discussing their end of life wishes with their doctors is important, but only 7% have done so.
No, I don't
so
think
even our doctors aren't prepared.
I go to my physicals, and I don't think a doctor's ever mentioned that to me.
He'd probably say it's up to you, right? What do you want?
Yeah, but I'm surprised you're right. But
yeah,
maybe they
but
should
by
be.
that time, it's really important. Some of our medical groups now are giving out advanced healthcare directives, and having that as part of your intake, putting that in the chart so somebody knows. Because sometimes you might have a divorce where you're separated.
Right.
You don't want your ex-husband or something to make decisions for you.
Of course not.
But that's the default decision maker.
Well, I remember
Even on a divorce.
If not a divorce, but if you were just
in the midst of it, correct.
Or if you have like a common law relationship,
right?
You're not your husband, or the common law husband or wife might not necessarily be the one to make the decisions unless you have that on paper.
So really, it's not really fair. I mean, if it's not fair to put that on people that you love.
Right.
So you really need to do this deal.
And
we all need to do this deal.
What I find interesting about it is some years ago, Henry Mayo had a class for all the staff about how important an advance directive is, and how you fill it out, how you can actually, what you can put in the advance directive. And I was surprised to hear some of the things about people saying, well, I want this kind of music playing in the room. I want massages at certain intervals, and all kinds, just anything that they wanted. And the other cool thing about it is that later on in life, you can actually change what you've decided. I mean, it's not written in stone, so to speak. But when you show up in the hospital and you're in trouble, you want that thing to be complete.
You want it.
So for the listeners, how do they do this? What do they do? How do they get
You
involved?
can go online if you just Google California Advanced Healthcare Directive. You can call the hospital and we can give you a form. It's very easy. It's about 7 pages, give or take. It requires 2 witnesses. It can't be your family, but you could have friends or neighbors, and they co-sign it, and then it's a legal document. So you have that. And the best thing to do is give it to family.
Right.
My mom has hers in the computer, and I said, Mom, how do I get in the computer? She said, well, you go in. I said, what's your password? She said, well, you don't need that right now. Well, I don't have access
So there's
to
a document somewhere that you can't use if you need.
So you have to give it to families.
Gotcha.
But I think if we can normalize the discussion and just sit down and, I'm relatively healthy, and an older person in my family might not be, but I say, you know what, I'm thinking about my wishes and what I would want for the future. What does my 16-year-old want? What do you want, Grandma, who's 95? And just kind of normalize it, that it's not.
Did you have this conversation with your family?
Yes.
Did you?
I have.
On Thanksgiving?
Not on Thanksgiving.
I mean, how'd you do it? So give us an ideas.
I sat down and I said, I'm thinking about these things. I'm realizing, I'm middle-aged now. I've got to start planning for the future. These are questions I have in my mind, and maybe it'd be good for us to all discuss it. And then saying, if it gets that point where, God forbid, I'm at the end of life, I don't, do I want all these machines? Do I want all these treatments where they might not be effective?
Right.
And then going backwards, what is important to me, that if there's a good chance of recovery, I have a healthy reserve in my body where I'm not sick in other ways. Like if I have cancer, but I have good lungs and, a good heart, then maybe I want to try for those different treatments.
Right.
And then if something changed down the road, we would go a different area. But for now, these are the things that are most important to me. Personally, I don't want to be in the hospital a lot. I want to be home with my family. I want to be driving my kids around. If I get to that point where I can't do that, then maybe I would make a shift of, how aggressive do I want my treatment to be based on my quality of life expectations?
Which would be a conversation that you, family, and doctor would have.
Mm-hmm.
And if obviously, if there was a chance, you're going to go for whatever you can.
Exactly.
But you also got to look at quality of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Or
exactly.
I imagine you do. I know that's what I would look at.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, you're looking at things that sound simple, but they're not. And that is when you get to a point where, would this person want to have the plug pulled? Would they want to have these things taken off of them or not?
Right.
I want to hear, what does our board op have to say about us? What do you think? It's a rough subject, huh? But you're kind of the youngest one.
About having the plug pulled?
No, about making healthcare decisions.
I mean, I think that it's obviously important, and that like, for instance, my mom makes the decision. My mom and my uncle take care of my grandma in different ways. My uncle takes care of the financial side. My mom is the one that does her health side issues, and seems to work out fine. So I think as long as you stay on top of those kind of things, it's incredibly important.
Mm-hmm. That's a perfect example where just clarifying even these are the people that are going to make decisions.
Right.
That alone is a relief, because I have families that have, 7, 8 children and they're all fighting. Meanwhile, the patient's in another room, not having their family around, not having that comfort because the 8 kids are saying, well, I'm the decision maker. No, I am. So
And they're fighting over what direction that for
Right.
healthcare, when it really, that's just not fair.
And the
It's
worst
not fair.
thing, the
Right.
absolute worst thing would be to be in that situation and everybody's standing around going, what do we do? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know
Right.
what he wants.
Right.
That's awful, because now everybody's under tension anyway.
And then, Mike, you always have somebody that thinks they know best, and then somebody that's going to argue. So it's just better to have it set up.
So
And
much
you
easier.
could be married 50 years and have strong opinions, and my opinions don't necessarily reflect what my husband's opinions are. So if I say, well, this is what I do, if he came back and said, hell no, I don't want that.
Well, and plus you change again. You could
Exactly.
say at a certain point, 5 years later, you could say, you know what, I thought about it. I don't want that anymore. What I would want would be this.
Right.
Or I hadn't thought of this before. This is what I want also.
Right. Or a new treatment's available. So I say, you know what, I didn't want a lot, but this looks really good. So let's do it.
So on that note, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to have Ann Front, and we're going to continue our conversation. This is Families in Action on our hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
Welcome back to Families in Action right here on KHTS AM 1220, your hometown station. And Cary,
Michael,
did you know that on November 10th will be the actual official 13th anniversary of the Families in Action radio show, which began back in 2003. Listen to this. Now, we talk about statistics, right?
okay.
Beginning 13 years ago, since then, you've done 48 shows a year, a total of 624 shows, with co-hosts including Stephanie Weiss, who was here for 10 whole years until you ran her off to Texas, Del Shalisi, Mary Lane, Bob Sheritz, and of course myself, Michael Dougherty.
Well, sometimes we just have to improvise.
Yeah, I know. You couldn't find anybody else.
I try to get Ann.
And we have Carl and Jerry here with us.
Yeah, it seems like yesterday that we first had the first action show, back when we put the radio station back on the air in
Right.
2003. And, Mike, you shared the stats of the show. I'm out there all the time, and as you can see by my shirt, I go low profile with the KHTS.
Right.
Someone will see not a week goes by where someone sees my shirt, whether I'm at a counter at a store, a restaurant, just walking around town at an event, and someone says, hey, I was on the radio station, I was on the action show, or my friend was on the action show, and Cary Quashen saved my life.
Oh, wow.
It's powerful. It just and it's not once, it's not twice. This is on a regular basis out there. So, Cary, this show has been a lifesaver for our kids and for our community.
And you know, Cary talks about this every week when we have guests on the show like Ann, and we say, you are really one of the heroes of the community. Well, now we can turn around and say that to Cary.
Well, I think everyone here is. I mean, look what you guys do. I mean, you give the forum for people to be able to do that.
And one of the passions is from what Cary's work has done is that we created a foundation several years ago that has done incredible things very on the down low in the community, but the Sober High School. Sober School. That's right.
Middle school
and the Tide program, which are incredible gifts in our community. When we were in D.C. a few weeks ago on our Washington trip and doing lobbying, the Department of Justice and Department of Mental Health were blown away of what Action's doing in the community. They've never heard anything like this before. There are other sober high schools out in the country, but not in conjunction with your own school district.
Right.
So this is things that Cary's doing on a whole different level, and we're very proud to be board members of the Action Family Foundation.
We have to do it because here our show is 1 hour long. 5 people are dying from an accidental overdose just in that hour. That's minimum. We talked about 2 13-year-old kids that were found dead.
Right.
I mean, it's just we have to make a difference.
And here we are in this studio right now because Carl and Jerry not only have a passion for radio, but they have such a passion for Santa Clarita, this wonderful community. And it shows with everything they do. And here they brought Cary in to do this show on KHTS. So what a powerful combination. And it's all based on passion. This isn't based on ego or anything like that.
No,
And I just also want to give a shout out to Stephanie Weiss because she was your number one advocate to get you on the air to begin with. And I know Stephanie had, you were an angel for her family as well, and she saw the power of what you could do for our community. So, Stephanie, I know you're listening back in that other state.
Which we won't even say.
Yeah, right, but I just want to say thank you, Stephanie, for pushing and believing in Cary. And believing in us.
She held in for 10 years as the co-host.
And she was here recently.
Stephanie is. Hey, she is and always been one of our local heroes too.
Yeah.
So great stuff. And
so thank you guys. You're amazing. Keep up the good work. Bye.
Now get back to the regular show.
You got it. We have a couple more minutes, and we got to close with Ann Front. And Ann, what do you want to do to close? I mean, you gave us such good information.
Thank you for having me, and congratulations to all of you.
Thank you.
I just want to give you information. If you want more information about palliative care, you can go online to getpalliativecare.org. Don't worry about spelling it wrong. I'm sure Google will fix it for you.
Once again,
Siri might blow it though.
Yeah, getpalliativecare.org. And then you can also feel free to call Henry Mayo Hospital, ask for Ann Front or the Palliative Care Department.
Why don't you just give us your home phone number?
I'll give it to you. You can call me at 661-200-2867.
Once
and
again.
my team can help you. 661-200-2867. And then, of course, you can always call the radio show and they can give you my contact information.
So you don't have to be sick to call you. You could call just to get the information.
Get
so
information.
You can file your claim.
Yes. I like to talk to people early and often, and the sooner the better.
and we have to be very, very thankful, Cary, that Ann Front has a passion for what she does over there and the great work that they do in that section of the hospital. Because of them, a lot of people are able to end their life with dignity and feeling good about things and
Or make a new beginning.
yeah.
Because not everyone goes. I mean, there's lives saved.
And I do have to give a shout out to my nurses and chaplain and manager and director, because we are a team, and doctor. We're a team and we work together.
Give us some names, unless you're afraid you're going to forget somebody.
Dr. Brar is my medical director.
Awesome.
Dee Ricketts, our director, and then Lisa Ortega is our nurse manager, and then I have nurses Amber Mitchell and Angela Contreras.
Now,
and our chaplain, Marjorie Link.
What a great team, huh?
And not only that, but you said all their names, so that means when you go back, you can have them take you out to lunch.
That's right. So give us a call if you have any questions. And
Number again?
661-200-2867.
And Michael, let people know how they can download this, go to YouTube and all that stuff. You know it better than me, right? The show.
Oh, this show?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, the easy thing to do is to go to hometownstation.org or .com. And what you do is on the .com. Obviously, they're in it for profit. And so what you want to do is right up at the top of the website, you'll see podcasts, and you can click on that.
Right.
And then you can just go down and you click on Families in Action, and there you are. And all you have to do is put in Families in Action, YouTube.
And there you go.
You'll be able to see. And if you put in today's date and the year, it'll take you to this show.
And we're also on Time Warner every Monday at 4 p.m.
Hard to miss us.
I know, huh? We're kind of all over the place, huh? So that's good stuff, and it's time to wrap the show up, Mike. Thank you, Ann Front.
Thank you very much.
You and
both of you.
You and all of your team over at Henry Mayo and the great work that you're doing here in Santa Clarita. And again, this is Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Have a great week.